Good morning, friends. How are you? Good morning, good morning. Who is there with us? Who is an early bird? Norman, you're welcome. How are you? Where are you from? Hector, you're welcome. Adam, you're welcome. Thank you for joining us. I'm Esther here, and today we are going to talk about how a single woman can overcome stigmatization. Juma, you're welcome. Thank you. All right. You are welcome. So, good morning, everyone. How are you today? Nino, thank you. Thank you for sharing the video. Sammy, hi. Hi, everyone. So, my name is Esther, and I'm here. I come here every Saturday at 7 a.m. UK time to just share with the public, and especially the single ladies out there, how we can overcome stigmatization. And today we are looking at Stigma Set 5, and this is going to be the stigma against virginity. Yeah, so before I go into it, Stephen, you're welcome. Thank you for coming. So before we go into that, let me do a brief recap of what we covered last week. So last week we looked at Stigma Set 4, which was overcoming self-stigmatization. So self-stigmatization, we discovered that that's what comes from those negative thoughts that we internalize that causes us to drop into a low self-esteem mode, which can manifest in the way we dress, in the way we use makeup, in the way we see our weight, etc. So in last week, we also reminded ourselves of the guiding truths that will help us achieve and maintain a healthy self-esteem. So today we are moving on to the stigma against virginity, and yeah, it's an interesting one because in our day and age where everything seems so sex obsessed, every advert has either someone who is half naked or something, the mass media, everything, social media, the newspapers, magazines, videos and movies, everything seems to be encouraging that sex drive in the general masses, and it's really tough. It's really tough. So how does a single woman overcome this stigma, especially if they have kept themselves and they are being run by their guiding principles? How can they overcome this? So this is what we're going to discuss. So feel free to state your comments, your questions, your concerns, and we'll try to discuss them together. Gasta, you're welcome. You're welcome to the platform. So, what is virginity? Yes, I hope we all know it, but just for, formality's sake, this is a state, from Wikipedia, this is a state of never having had sexual intercourse, or simply put, sexual abstinence before marriage. Yeah, so I wrote something about this aspect in my book, How a Single Woman Can Overcome Stigmatization, and I just want to read one paragraph just to help us in this introduction. It's on page 25. So this is where I was discussing the damage caused by culture and societal expectations. So I gave some statistics of the average age of people that lose their virginity around the world. This research was, conducted in 2016, and only 44 countries of the world were considered. So I'll just read out a few just to give you a clue of what we're talking about. So, in Iceland, the average age of people losing their virginity is around 15.6. 15. To me, that's a child. In Sweden, it's 16.2. In Israel, it's 16.7. In Austria, it's 17.3. I'm just skipping some because there are so many countries. Brazil, 17.4. In Turkey, 17.8. United States, 18. Greece, 18.1. Canada, 18.1. United Kingdom, 18.3. South Africa, 18.7. Russia, 18.7. Nigeria, 19.7. Hong Kong, 20.2. China, 22.1. India, 22.9. Malaysia, 23. So I've just mentioned a few countries, but that gives you an impression of how, our world and societal expectations have really changed. That someone as early as 15, are already sexually active. So here I commented that the table above shows that sexual activity starts as early as 15 years. Is my volume okay? I just want to check. Just give me a moment. Okay. Sorry, please. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, so Femi, you're welcome. You're welcome, everyone. So I was reading that, so the general impression is that anyone who is not married or has no partner by 30 looks out of place. After the age of 20, a person is seen as abnormal not to have had any sexual encounter at all. Such individuals are seen as weird, old-fashioned, and inexperienced. This can stigmatize many people, forcing them to give in at any given opportunity. Okay, so that is what I can say for now. So you could see the reality of this stigma in our age today. So I like the way Dr. Bien Sufficient, she wrote a book, The Single Ministry and Sexual Purity. You can find it on Amazon. Very lovely book. And it has a whole chapter on virginity. So feel free to read more about this topic and maybe to even give it to your, the children, your youth, and out there. So I want to read something that she used to classify the classes of virginity, because I know that will help us understand the context that we are talking about. So she said, I have classified virginity into two types: primary virginity and secondary virginity. Primary virginity is the state of a person who has never been engaged in sexual intercourse since birth. That's primary virginity. While secondary virginity is the state of a person who has been engaged in sexual intercourse before, or was violated, and has now vowed never to have sexual intercourse until marriage. The Bible says that when you come to Christ, when you repent, when you come to Him in repentance, then old things are gone and the new has come. So you become a new creature in Christ. So that's where we base this argument on. So there are two types of stigmatization, of virginity that we are going to be referring to here. Right, so my favorite quote for this topic is by a dear friend, Reverend Dr. Kate Coleman, who is the author of a book that is called The 7 Deadly Sins of Women in Leadership. you should get this copy. It's very helpful, especially for women who are leaders out there. But she said, we wrestle with what we think we are not, rather than celebrate what we are. How true. I repeat, we wrestle with what we think we are not, rather than celebrate what we are. I'm telling you, that's so true. You know, I remember when such a topic of virginity came up, I would, almost like freeze. And I would look for a slight opportunity to excuse myself, so that, you feel so intimidated. For those of you who don't know me, I recently got married, but at the age of 40, and I have been a virgin. So what I'm talking about is practical experience. Yeah. So I know the stigma exists. We avoid the topic. We don't want people to see us as, what do they call it? Ignorant, inexperienced, and all sorts of things go on in the mind. Instead of celebrating what we are being intimidated and feeling inferior. I don't know what has happened to our world today. We've dropped the values that matter, and instead we want to fit into the status quo. We need to change this and help our young people overcome this type of stigmatization. So, have you heard of statements? Caleb, you're welcome. Nathaniel, you're welcome. Have you heard of this statement? Are you waiting for marriage? You are being old-fashioned. So I'm going to be naming some statements that I am familiar with and commenting on them, on how we can, trash them out, overcome that kind of stigma. And that is how I think we can learn today. So feel free to share your topics, So, are you waiting for marriage? You are old-fashioned. I laugh at that. Because come to think about it, the more our world advances through the ages, the more it seems like godly values are being dropped. If you look back maybe 30 years ago, you would not hear of the legalization of abortion. You would not hear of the legalization of, gay marriage, because there were principles in place. But as the world advances, everyone's opinion counts, It's like we put the truth aside and just move on with whatever pleases people. So it's a shame. So sometimes I feel like sometimes being old-fashioned is safer. It is safer. Okay. So we choose to do the right thing because it is the right thing to do. When someone decides to wait until marriage, I think it's the right thing to do. Because this promotes trust between the couple. And also it proves that your ability of self-control, how you've mastered your body, you are in charge of your body. You're not driven by the desires of the flesh. So that's a fruit of the Spirit. And also, waiting for marriage in order to have these sexual encounters is really beneficial, okay? And that experience of losing your virginity is always unforgettable. And it's worth doing with a covenant partner or a spouse. So that is how I can address such a statement. Right, another statement. Everybody is doing it. You are missing out. Really? Missing out? Okay, we'll see what we are missing out from. This is a lie. This is a lie. It reminds me of, everybody's doing it. It reminds me of the story in the Bible where Elijah was telling God, I'm the only prophet left. I'm the only one, who is worshiping you. All the others, are worshiping Baal. But God told him, no, I've reserved myself 7,000 who have not bowed down to Baal. So God always has a remnant. Everybody's not doing it. There are many people out there who have determined to wait until marriage. So that is a lie. Okay? And yes, of course, virgins are missing out. Let me read for you what they are missing out from. It's from this book, again, a friend of mine, Dr. Bien Sufficient. And it's called The Single Ministry and Sexual Purity. And she wrote a list of things that virgins are missing out from. Let me read for you. Some say virgins are really missing out. As for missing out, that is true. Yes, they are really missing out. That I believe. Missing out on so many things like sexually transmitted diseases, emotional breakdown, heartbreaks, depression and low self-esteem, unwanted pregnancy, abortion and all its consequences, and above all, poor or no relationship with God, their Creator. I love this list. So really, is worth missing out on things like this? Is it worth missing out on things like this? Or don't you think so? Okay, she was just asking that. Is it worth missing out on things like this? I think so. So that's the list that virgins are missing out from. So let no one intimidate you, telling you that you're missing out on anything. If they say that, give them that list. Okay? And I'm sure their mind will wake up. Okay? So another statement that people use to make people who are keeping themselves feel inferior is, you are not enjoying life. Really? You know, one thing I've come to discover is that much as we all have life, we possess life, but very few people understand it. Life is not about pleasure. All that glitters is not gold. Okay? So, yeah. So, pleasure may look attractive, but it's really not gold. That's one thing we have to settle. Okay? And also, Jesus Christ said that I am the way, the truth, and the life. So he is life. We're talking about life because someone tells you cannot enjoy life. Okay? But what is life? Life is not about pleasure. What is life? Jesus is telling us, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. Which means that life is not a thing. It is a personality. Life is a personality. Okay? So this person that is life himself loaned it to you. Life was given to you as a loan. So at the end of it, you need to give an account. How much interest have you put in there? How did you invest it? Did you waste it? Did you spend it? Okay? So we have to change our perspective of life so that people don't intimidate us that we are not enjoying life. They are the ones who don't know what life is all about. Okay? So, you therefore enjoy life when you embrace the author of life. When his passion becomes your passion, that is when you're enjoying life. Not through, having sex and having many sexual partners, having pleasures. No. So when your life is so integrated with the personality of life, who is Jesus, who is God, then you find fulfillment. You can ask everyone around, even people who have been prostitutes, even tell them, were you fulfilled doing that? They'll tell you no. So that gives us a clue that life is not about sex. So let no one intimidate you that you're missing out, that you're not enjoying life. Tell them that you understand what life is all about. Life was given to you as a loan, and you're accountable for it. Okay? All right. So, Another statement that people say, just checking on my time. Another statement that people say is, does your religious belief not allow premarital sex? Because they know, okay, she must be a Christian or a Muslim. Some religions that, do not allow premarital sex. I wouldn't put it that way. I wouldn't just use it as religion, okay? So it should not be about do's and don'ts. Oh, my religion does not allow it. Oh, my religion doesn't, that's why I'm not doing it. No. If you walk by do's and don'ts, it becomes legalism. And where there's legalism, you are bound to fail. Okay. You are bound to fail. So, rather, you should determine that to keep yourself because you have decided to live by the life of God in you and by the Spirit of God who guides you. So he convicts you that what you're doing is not right. And you stay away from that. So it should not be like, okay, oh, because the Bible say, because my mom told me. No. You're keeping yourself until marriage just because you have personal life-governing values that you've decided to live by. And when God tells us that, this sexual and everything, do not fornicate, do not commit adultery, He's protecting us because he loves us. All these principles are there to guide us so that we don't fall into heartaches, we don't fall into depression, we don't fall into the wrong hands of people who are not committed to us, and then they use you, they dump you, they leave you there. You become a thing that has been used. This leaves you devastated. So all these things, when you obey them, they protect you. It's for your good, actually. All right? Okay. Opera, you're welcome. Stella, hi. Okay, so another statement that people throw at us as singles, you are inexperienced. Okay. Oh, I said, oh dear. So which man will like me if I'm not experienced? Oh, maybe I should try out something. You're pushed to. Oh dear. May God have mercy on all the rubbish that is going around, spoiling our young people, pushing them into things they're not ready for. It is a shame. So, this experience that you're eager to have, that people want you to go to fall into, this experience has landed so many into the grave prematurely. Okay? Some others have landed into court or prison. This experience they're pushing you to have, okay? Other people, their destinies has been truncated. Other young people dropped out of school, all because of experience. Others have landed in psychiatric hospitals. Others have heartaches, depression, guilt, and shame. So this experience that people are telling you to have so early, can you see the consequences of it? There's nothing wrong with having experience in the right context, which is marriage. And there's always time to learn. Let no one push you. You can learn that at any time, in the right context, with the person who has shown you commitment. Okay? So, if experience and having all this sexual experience is what defines us, then what makes us different from animals? Birds have experience. Dogs have experience. Cats have experience at any time they want. So what separates you from them if you are running around for the same experience? The reason why we are different as human beings is because we think, we plan, we see through things actions before we do something. We look at the consequences before we engage in it. So let no one, intimidate you by saying you're lacking, you're missing out, you don't have experience. Okay? Experience is not what defines you. Another statement, virginity equals baggage. Okay? Wow. What kind of baggage are they talking about? I don't know what has happened. So, in our world today, the things that are of value have been put in the bin. Okay? Because someone said, oh, no, or the men, I don't want virgins, they are intimate, they are timid, they are, they're not experienced. So virginity equals baggage? Let me tell you what virginity signifies. It signifies that you are trustworthy and disciplined person. That does not look like garbage to me. Virginity signifies that you know your self-worth. You are not cheap. You want to do things the right way. That is not baggage. Virginity shows that you are a thinking person. You analyze the consequences of each and every action you take. Is that baggage? You tell me. Virginity also shows that you are doing it not only for yourself, but for your future generation. You are setting an example for others. So it's not about egocentric anymore. Because when you're egocentric, you are only followed by your own desires. But if you're thinking ahead, no, I said, no, this won't be exemplary. That is not baggage. Virginity shows that it is clear you are a person of principles and values. That is not baggage. Virginity causes you to earn respect and trust from your husband, who then will treat you like a princess. Okay, for those who are coming in late, we define virginity as someone who has never had sexual intercourse from birth. That is primary virginity. And secondary virginity is the case where someone has had an encounter or was violated, but now they vowed to wait until marriage. So we have two classes of virginity we are referring to here. Okay, so let's throw this statement that virginity equals baggage into the bin where it belongs. Let no one intimidate you again. Another statement they say, what is wrong with you? You don't have a sex drive. Really? We are all human beings. I think. Yes. The same blood that runs in you runs in me. We are all built the same way. We all have hormones. We all have feelings. So let no one tell you you don't have a sex drive. If they have a sex drive and they are human being, you too, you have a sex drive. Irrespective of whether you're virgin or not. But the difference is how we handle it. The wisdom we apply. The principles we live by. That's the only difference. Okay? So nothing is wrong with you. Don't allow anyone to intimidate you. What is actually wrong here is when one exposes themselves to someone who isn't their spouse. We are all created the same way. So we all have the sex drive. But the difference, as I've explained, is how you apply wisdom to it. So there are wisdom nuggets here I want to leave us with as singles out there, so that it can guide you, it can help you overcome any form of stigmatization. Okay, just because you're keeping yourself and waiting until you're married. So, if you do not know your self-worth, know the purpose of your life, you will abuse it. Others will manipulate you. That is truth. So always remember that. Set strong and healthy boundaries. What do I mean by boundaries? Guidelines, things that protect you. Just like a house is surrounded by a wall, it's being protected. So how are these boundaries set? 1, emotional boundaries. Control what you watch, what you listen to, the people you hang around with, the movies you watch. Of course, if you're watching sexual movies, pornography, these will always tempt you, okay? But if you watch, clean things, you're focused on clean things, you don't get that temptation. So that is wisdom. Emotional boundaries. Physical boundaries. If you're in a relationship, communicate with someone. Be accountable to someone. That helps. And also communicate to your, to your partner or to your, fiance, where you're not comfortable being touched. So that's another part of, physical boundaries. Okay. Do not be alone with the opposite sex if they're not your spouse. Spiritual boundaries. Make God and His principles the center of your life and relationship. I think that helps, because in this trying to keep yourself, you cannot do it on your own. If you're doing it in your own strength, you will fail. That is why you need God. I don't know how people survive without God. You need the grace of God. You need to surrender to Him to help you. Another thing that will help you, be determined in your mind to be proud of who you are. Sometimes when you settle that inside you, all these other things that people say, throw at you, they just bounce back. They don't enter you. They don't affect you, because you know who you are. So be proud and comfortable of your body and status. Know your value. We talked about this last week. If you valued yourself, you wouldn't want to expose yourself to any man who is not committed to you. Exercise more. Okay? Or find other purpose-driven activities to focus on beyond sex. If you're always, we all become what we think of. Temptations begin in the thought first before they manifest outside. So if you're focused on fulfilling your purpose, you're focused on on your goals, on your objectives, you're exercising. Going to the gym. Oh, my time is up. I'm winding up, don't worry. So you even forget you're single. I think that principle really helped me. I was so involved in ministry. I was so involved in activities. I even forgot I was single. You don't think about sex. You just move on. And that's how God releases His grace to work on you. And you go through all those. So one truth that Satan does not want you to know is that your life was given to you as a loan. You do not own it. At the end of it, you have to give an account. I think I mentioned that before. So what will help us is make a commitment to God. By saying something like this: I want to walk in accountability to you. I want to be responsible for the life you've given me. I need you to help me. That's a sincere conversation can have with God. And that grace will be released on you. So, in order not to have regrets in life, let us live according to life principles. Because they are there, as I mentioned earlier, to protect us. So at the end of our lives, let us make God proud of us. Okay? So those are the few things I had to share today, and the time is up. I hope they will help you somehow. So help me share this video, pass it on to young people. Let them be empowered, not to fall victims, but to have a life with governing principles. Let them make the right decisions about their lives and their bodies. Okay? And that's how we can save the next generation. So be blessed. Thank you so much for joining me this Saturday, and have a blessed weekend. God bless you. Bye.